Diana.
And what do you do for a living?
I work at TD as a teller.
What's a day in the life look like doing that?
We just come in and help all the customers that come in with their day-to-day banking.
How much do you make?
$19 to $30 an hour.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
I guess the team that I work with, they're fun.
That's a good answer. Do you feel like you're fairly compensated?
For what we do, I feel like there could be an increase, but I think it's fair, sort of.
Priyanka.
And what do you do for a living?
I work in research. We help private equity clients look for potential acquisition targets.
What's a day in the life look like doing that?
It's a lot of work. It's going through a lot of company information, private company information, data, speaking with clients, a lot of project management.
And how did you get into this?
I've been working in research for the last 4 years. I also did a master's degree in finance, so I have quite a bit of research background.
And how much do you make?
I make about 75 to 80K.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into this kind of field?
You need to do a lot of projects. You need to probably network a lot to get in touch with the right kind of people.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
I get to speak to some of the biggest people. The exposure is great and I get to learn so much about various industries.
Zeno,
And what do you do for a living?
working in investment banking.
How did you get into this?
I'm a quantitative person. I prefer numbers.
How much do you make as an investment banker?
Base 6 figures, and then you have a bonus over that for full-time analyst.
How many years experience do you have?
I am starting full-time, so I have 0 years experience right now. This will be my first job out of university.
That's pretty good. 6 figures first job?
I guess so.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into finance?
Networking, that's the best way that you would learn about any job or learn about what you need to do to land that job. I think it's just hard work in finance. You require a lot of hours. You need to put in the effort.
And what do you do for a living?
I work in equity research. I lead coverage in the digital assets, Web3, and blockchain space.
How did you get into this?
The opportunity came in 2022. I thought it was an excellent fit with me, just given my experience in capital markets.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been working in equity research since about 2019, and I've been leading this franchise since March 2022.
And how much do you make doing what you're doing?
Ballpark it at $100,000 base to $150,000 base with bonus.
And what's your favorite thing about what you do?
Well, I love the space. I love seeing companies succeed. There's always really interesting people that I'm meeting and really interesting ideas.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into this field?
Find something that you're truly passionate about, study the space really well, and just continue to try your best.
Stanley.
And what do you do for a living?
I work as an actuary.
And what's a day in the life look like as an actuary?
Day to day, working in the office, working with a lot of people, working with risk and all that, working in the insurance industry.
And how long have you been doing this?
10 years now?
How much do you make?
Let's say I give it in the 6 digits.
Would you say medium, low, high?
And I wouldn't say high, but I'll say in the middle.
So like around 250, give or take.
Nah, lower.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about what you do?
I like the people I work with. In general, I like the kind of work. It's interesting work and a lot of challenges in the area.
NJ.
And what do you do for a living?
I work as a business analyst.
And what's a day in the life look like as a business analyst?
You have to get into a lot of calls, speak with a lot of stakeholders, and try to manage the project to the best of your ability. So that's it.
And how long have you been doing this?
If you look at the overall career, I've been doing the same job for about 7 years, but in this company, it's just been 1 year.
And how much do you make?
Neighborhood of 70s.
And what's your favorite thing about what you do?
The job is really nice. The people are nice to work with, and the company offers a really conducive policy, lots of benefits and other things.
And what advice would you give to someone that wants to become a business analyst?
Work on your communication skills, work on your thinking abilities. All the technologies will come later. As a fundamental, personality has to change.
Yeah.
So you need to be really having this curiosity to probe into things, to understand more than what is expected, and try to get an overall understanding and try to go up from there. So that will be the thing.
Subhash.
And what do you do for a living?
So I work at the Ontario Pension Board as an analyst.
How did you get into this?
I just applied for it and I just got in actually. So it was just like a kind of a foot in the door.
What's a day in the life look like working as an analyst for the pension board?
It's pretty busy actually. We get our breaks in between and stuff, but pretty busy actually throughout the day.
How long have you been doing this?
More than 1.5 years, but it's a nice company to be with. The people out there are very friendly and helpful, so it's a nice place to be.
And how much do you make doing this?
It's in a range of around 70,000.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
Analyzing especially all the complicated stuff that comes through all of that and getting down to the root cause of whatever issues we have, so that's the fun part.
Alexa.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a product and growth director at a digital bank.
What's a day in the life look like doing that?
A lot of meetings, a lot of stakeholders to manage, getting campaigns out the door, ultimately to support a lot of products.
How did you get this position? Did you study? What path did you take?
So I actually studied biology and then I networked and had a co-op at a bank and then never left.
And what made you decide to pivot from bio, which you studied in uni, to what you're doing now?
I liked making money. As soon soon as I started working, I was like, I don't want to go back to school. And I just knew the medical field wasn't for me. I loved the business aspect of working in the bank.
And how much do you make doing what you're doing?
A range of, I'd say, like 150 to 160.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into this industry?
Network, know your research, and never be afraid to take a chance.
And do you feel like you're fairly compensated?
I do, yeah.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
People, my team, yeah. I love my team. I actually come in like 4 days a week because of them.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an investment banker.
What's the day in the life look like as an investment banker?
We look at a lot of due diligence, a lot of contracts. We try to figure out what companies are worth.
And how'd you get into this? Did you study to become an investment banker?
Absolutely not. So I'm a PhD in computer engineering. I was a tech guy, did consulting for myself. My current boss, I met at an event a few years ago. We talked about crypto for a couple hours, and he told me a couple days later I should come work for him. So now I'm an investment banker.
So you networked into this opportunity?
I networked into it absolutely 100%. And when was the next time someone's going to offer me a job as an investment banker?
And how long have you been doing this?
About a year and a half. Like I started last January.
How much do you make?
In our role, it kind of ranged kind of 200,000 to 300,000.
And do investment bankers work as hard and long as like people think they do?
I think that they do, but it's so variable. So like sometimes it's 14 hours a day for 4 weeks in a row, and other times you're at command of networking, you know?
And what advice would you give to someone that wants to get into this?
Follow what's interesting to you. So my entire career, whatever's in front of me is interesting. I do that. I don't make a 20-year plan. If you're interested in something, pursue it. If that's banking, if that's art, if that's crypto, it's whatever you're interested in, if you get into that, you're going to know more than the other guy, and someone's going to want to hire you for that.
Daniela.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a client associate at a bank.
What's a day in the life look like as a client associate?
You get in the office at 8:30, you wrap up around 5. I do a lot more administrative stuff, but we are tied to the stock market as well.
And how did you get into this?
I worked at a bank as a teller through university, and then when I graduated, I had no idea what I was going to do. I had a history degree, so I decided to just try to go to a more high-profile area of the bank, and that's how I ended up where I am.
And how long have you been doing this?
I've been at the bank for 7 years, and I've been in this career for almost 4.
How much do you make?
Base salary of $50, and then I make a monthly commission that varies. Based on performance and based on me specifically, there can be incremental raises, but if we had a really good month, it kind of changes things.
And what would you say your favorite thing about what you do is?
It honestly is the clients, weirdly enough. Like, you obviously get to deal with very high net worth clients, but there's a lot to learn from them, and a lot of them are very nice, so it's just really refreshing to see.
And what advice would you give to someone that wants to get into this field?
Do it as early as possible, and go and get your accreditations. Go and do that ASAP. It's not that hard, just study.